told me, he says, he didn't even think about this. He didn't plan it. He just did it. But he said he hated that place so much he couldn't shoot himself inside there. Went outside. Same thing.
Check that way.
Officers are at the home of Ken Mishkevich and have just found out that someone shot him and escaped into the night. And despite their best efforts, finding the shooter would not be easy. As detectives began to suspect that it may be someone close to Ken, the motive remains a mystery.
Did you shoot your dad? No. No. Kim, did you shoot Ken?
No.
You know if he had anybody that was mad at him or anything that would do something like this?
I don't.
And when the shooter finally comes forward, it's the disturbing truth behind the motive that will shatter families forever. At 2:22 a.m. on Tuesday, October 25th, 2016, a distressed wife called Whitewater Emergency Services in Wisconsin, reporting that her husband was badly hurt and bleeding from the head. By the time officers reach the house, Kimberly is already on the floor giving CPR to her husband, 43-year-old Ken Mishkevich, while their son Tyler frantically tries to help her.
Are we thinking suicide or are we thinking... I'm thinking so, but there's no weapon on scene.
But the moment officers lay eyes on Ken, the scene shifts from desperate to horrifying. He isn't suffering from a fall or accident. Ken's body is covered in gunshot wounds, and EMS soon pronounces him deceased. Kimberly and Tyler insist they have no idea who broke in and opened fire. With an armed intruder possibly still nearby, officers snap into high alert, knowing that they could be hunting someone ready to kill again.
Hey, stay in your house, stay in your house, stay in your house.
Stay in your house now!
Check around the corner here.
What's that?
Check around the corner back here.
I'll hold on the garage.
426, go ahead.
See if County has a canine that can call in.
Nothing. Let's clear this garage.
Officers fan out and call in backup, fully aware that tracking a gunman in the dead of night is going to be anything but easy.
Okay, what I want you to do is I want you to just station at the back of the house right now. Okay.
Alright.
Just make sure we have a secure scene out the back. I'm gonna station. Yep, that's fine. Can I have one of you just post on the front of the house?
Yeah.
I've got one officer in the back.
Okay.
And one on the front. It looks to be a homicide, and we don't know where the suspect went.
As the search drags on with no answers, officers push deeper into the neighborhood, questioning residents, desperate for even the smallest lead or description of the shooter.
Hi there. I'm Lieutenant Aller from Whitewater PD. We're investigating an incident around the corner, and I'm just wondering if you heard or saw anything anytime between midnight and, say, 3 a.m.
I've been sleeping, so.
You've been sleeping? Okay.
My wife and I have been in bed, so.
Hi there. Hi. We're just wondering if you guys heard anything from about midnight to 2:30 in the morning.
No, like,
Anything suspicious? Did your dog bark or?
well, my dog is always barking, but yeah, he
Okay.
was barking about that time.
Before or after the police arrived on scene? Or at that house?
Probably a little bit before.
There, he was barking a little bit before?
Yeah, and I kind of woke up when you got here.
Okay.
Probably around.
Can you log me into 24, please?
1.
Okay. How long before we got here was he barking?
About 15 minutes.
Okay.
A few neighbors mentioned their dogs barking around that time, but at such a late hour, most were asleep. This leaves investigators with only one option: turn back to Kimberly and Tyler. Whatever they know could be the key to finding the shooter. As one unit escorts the shaken mother and son to the station, others remain behind, patrolling the area, still hunting for a killer who could be anywhere. Both Kimberly and Tyler walk investigators through their day, hour by hour. What officers and later the forensic team will observe about Ken's gunshot wounds will be even more sinister. He had at least 4 gunshot wounds across his body, and near one of them on his shoulder blade there was a circular 3-inch patch of burned skin. Officers immediately identified it as a powder burn, something that could only result from a close contact gunshot. This crucial detail instantly put both Kimberly and Tyler under suspicion, since they were the only ones in the house with Ken. Could this be a murder that they planned, or was only one of them responsible?
You know if Dad had any type of enemies? Anybody that he didn't like that, no.
I mean, he was sometimes kind of a rough personality, but not to the degree that he would make any fatal enemies.
Do you know if Dad was in any type of financial trouble or anything?
Not so far as I'm aware. I mean, we seem to be doing all right. I would get, numbers for the FAFSA when I was applying for aid for school, and there wasn't anything irregular in any of that paperwork, and that's the only stuff that I would know about.
Okay. How's your mom and dad's marriage?
Really good, actually. Like, I always saw them as, like, sort of proof of concept. They were high school sweethearts that got pregnant unexpectedly and still managed to not just, like, keep a marriage together, but be one of the best married couples that I've seen. Anybody. Like, there's only one other couple that I know of that I feel is a better example of a loving marriage.
So you got pregnant accidentally and then got married?
Yeah, I got married in February and then I got born in April. Turns out that's a little less than 9 months.
Yeah. Did they argue ever at all? Or, I mean,
if they did so civilly. I never once have I heard them shouting at one another.
And I'm just trying to think outside the box here. Are either of you, you or Ken, were either of you having any affairs or anything like that would make someone upset? Okay.
That was part of our discussions when all that came up, and we've been married for almost 22 years. We were together longer than that. I've never known him to lie to me. If I ask him a question, and even if I don't want to hear the answer, he'll tell me the answer honestly. Okay. And I asked him point blank if he was having an affair, and absolutely not. He's officially part-time. They laid him off a couple of times, but he's been working there since 1998 with just a too short syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing ever an issue at work. He works in just a small group of like 5 or 6 people.
What's he do there?
He works in what's called show bikes. He works in Johnson Creek at the distribution center, but his show bikes group is there. And he gets what the mechanics need to build the bikes that they're building. So he does come back and forth to the Waterloo offices, getting all the parts that they need.
Does he have any trouble at work? Anybody that you know of? Okay.
We just went to his work party on Saturday night.
And everything was fine there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But while Kimberly and Ken seemed like the perfect couple, things had not always been easy between Tyler and his father.
How is Ken and Tyler's relationship?
They've struggled over the years. When Tyler was a kid, they argued a lot. They're very similar personalities. So,
can you kind of describe yours and your father's relationship? Or?
Sure. I'd say a mending relationship.
Like I'm sure if you guys do a thorough investigation of his and my past relationship, he and I had a lot of issues when I was in school, particularly like elementary and middle school.
What type of issues?
He was never physically abusive to me. He never hit me or anything like that. It's just that he wasn't at least overtly compassionate guy towards me. I mean, most recently it's been like I moved back in with them this past February, I want to say. I mean, like, I have been more of a roommate than anything there. Mostly just trying to keep out of the way at the house. So I mostly stay up in my room, but gaming or TV shows that we're both into, that sort of thing.
For now, detectives process Kimberly and Tyler's clothes as evidence and photograph them to further confirm or rule out any possibility of their involvement. And as they sit down to speak with them again, a disturbing picture emerges.
How does that sliding door, does it open fairly freely, or is it kind of stiff and moving?
It's fairly free. I mean, like, it doesn't get, like, stuck in any places, but, you know, it doesn't just swing open wildly or anything.
Did it sound like the door was slammed shut?
No, it didn't, and that actually is something that kind of confused me as I thought about it later. It did not sound slammed, and when my mom and I were downstairs, normally if you slam the sliding glass door, it'll come to a close and open up a little bit again, and it was sealed.
Who all uses that back door regularly at the...
Just my folks and I. I mean, anytime we do have guests and we park in the back, then we have them come through the back door, assuming that, you know, they don't have any sort of injury or you know, tall enough to get into it, because it does have a fair drop. Other than that, no.
Okay. Anybody owns any type of handgun by chance at all?
And that I wouldn't.
That's close enough or around the area? Or?
That I wouldn't know at all, actually. I think I only know friends who hunt. Again, some of them probably own handguns, but I don't know specifically.
Do you have any questions for me right now?
No, after you left, I was thinking about our night.
Liz, yeah.
It doesn't make sense. Our back door, there's no steps. When we resided the house several years ago, we never put the steps back in. So I was saying, like, when I come in and out, I have to grab the side of the door frame and pull myself up or set myself down. There's one, like, cement step.
Oh, how high is it to get in? Like,
about
like that.
About that, yeah.
Okay.
And then the actual, like, I have to lift my leg up, and as far as I can get my knee up, then I put my foot down and bring myself up.
Yep, I got it.
So when Tyler goes out the door, he just kind of jumps. And, you know, he knows. And I said, I ease myself down. So if somebody were quickly going out the back door and not familiar with it, wouldn't they have fallen?
You would sure think so.
You know, so I don't know.
And they took the time to shut the door behind them.
Right. Both the doors, the sliding door and the back door.
We're investigating the murder of your father, and we want to find the person responsible for this.
I understand the gravity. I want to help you in any way that I can. The only thing that, like, greatly stands out to me is the care that whomever did it had to take in order to shut both the back sliding door and the back door out of the house. The one thing that just stands out in my mind is that it would take a fair amount of conscious thought in order to do that.
And probably somebody that, you think it might have been somebody that was familiar with the house?
Maybe, in that they came through the back instead of the front, but then again, if I were to rob a house, it also seems like it would make more sense to go in through the confront.
And did you notice anything missing?
I didn't. Granted, again, I wasn't looking for anything missing. I was a little preoccupied. But no, I did not see anything missing, obviously, from anything. Did you guys ever check to see how many bikes were in back? I don't know. Okay, I don't remember what the number was.
Looks like there's some hanging, and like Mom said, there's some outside.
Yeah. If I remember correctly, the number that Mom and I came up with is that there ought to be 7 bicycles in like the crook of the house there, in between my dad's room and the screened-in porch. Those are the most obvious things to steal. I mean, even if you don't know bikes, they still look like pretty nice bikes. So,
what would you come to the house for then?
Right, exactly. If you're coming in through the back, and that's where all of the loot is.
Now, with both emphasizing on the shooter's apparent familiarity with the house and with Ken's routine, detectives cannot ignore the possibility of an inside connection. To press further, they set the mother and son against each other, a tactic they had tried before.
I just have a couple quick questions for you, okay? Of course. When was the last time you ever fired a gun?
I have never fired a firearm.
Okay. Have you ever held a firearm at all? A handgun or anything?
I think there was a birthday party for one of my friends when we were like 13 that my friend was showing off his, like 13-year-old shotgun. And I might have held it, but it's pretty wild birthday party. Farm kids, man.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you remember earlier, I'm sure you
Yeah.
we swabbed your hands and everything, even though you'd washed them. But I'm sure you've seen TV with how sensitive things are. Is there going to be gunshots give off residue? Is there going to be any residue from those swabs on your hands?
Not unless I happen to touch any residue that would have been left on, like the door or something.
No, it wouldn't be anything like that. It's specific to when you fire a gun.
No.
So there shouldn't. When those swabs go to the crime, you're not going to come back and say this was got the gunshot residue on it.
No. Okay. If they do, then I will be thoroughly surprised myself.
Okay.
Any possible reason why your DNA would come back on a gun if you found one?
Shouldn't. Not unless somebody put it on there while I was asleep. Sorry, I don't mean to be sarcastic.
No, you're fine.
That nothing was being pursued legally.
Okay. How is, when we talked earlier, you said Tyler and Ken had a lot of issues when Tyler was a teenager. Tyler, how is, you said they get along fine now, but how is his, I guess, what kind of guy is he?
And Tyler,
Yeah.
he's amazing. He's helpful, very kind. After he graduated high school, he didn't know what he wanted to do, didn't know where he wanted to go. We had taken a trip up to Colorado in 2011, and he really loved being out there, so he ended up going to Stevens Point, thinking forestry might be the direction he wanted to go. He came home Christmas that year, and he'd been there for a semester, and said he had kind of given light in his eyes and said, I know what I want to do. I want to become a pastor. His best friend, who's my son, was going to school in Kenosha at a theological college, and so he wanted to go there. So he finished out, did he finish the next semester? I think he did. But when he came home, he pursued going to the school in Kenosha. So he went there for a year and a half. Was kind of part-time at home, part-time in Kenosha. And wasn't loving the classes, the school, so he came home last Christmas. I'm going to take a break and He had some issues in high school his freshman year. He kind of got in with a bad crowd, and I don't know the full extent, but as we talked in later years, he was having sexual relations with girls. He was drinking. I don't know if he was doing drugs. But we pursued therapy. He went to therapy. He was on some medication for a while, but didn't like how he felt from that. He got into a different crowd at school, started hanging out at the Whitewater Family Church in drama, in music, and just like did a 180 and was a totally different kid. And has been helpful to his friends, and he's just the best man. And that's my wedding. The issues that he and Ken had when he was a little kid, Ken would get frustrated with him because he would ask him a question, he'd say, I don't know. I want an answer. I want a real answer. If he felt I was lying about something, he'd be very excited. Don't lie. We would, have arguments, I guess, afterwards. And I was always saying, Tyler's just a little kid. He's 7. Don't yell at him. Don't. But he's pretty hard.
And while Kimberly is emotional throughout the ordeal, Tyler's stark lack of emotion pushes detectives to confront him directly.
Did you shoot your dad?
No. No.
Okay. And you just need to think really hard as to anybody that would be upset that would do something like this.
Right.
Just take your time, think about it, process it. Is there anybody that would have done something like this? Somebody tell you something, confide in you that they were angry with your dad for anything that might have happened, or
I hate your dad, or your dad drives me nuts, anything even minor that you can think of.
No. If anything, if that's what you're looking for, you'd probably be looking at me from a few years ago. No. But he, to all of his friends, he is a very magnanimous gentleman. He and I had issues while I was growing up, but those were getting pretty well resolved. No, I don't think there's anybody that said anything to that effect other than me.
Kim, did you shoot Ken?
No.
you know if he had anybody that was mad at him or anything that would do something like this?
I don't. Not that I know.
Financially, are you guys?
We're fine.
There's no large debts or anything?
No. He kept a spreadsheet of all of our payments for everything, and on the first and 15th of every month, we made payments. The only thing I was responsible for was paying the electric bill, and half the time I forgot to do that, so it'd be a week late. But that was... mortgage payments. We paid off the Jetta, and then we just bought the Golf recently. We didn't have any other major expenses. And the credit cards paid off.
Any gambling or betting issues at all?
No, he never. He was in the Army, and he wouldn't, even in the Army, he was like, that's not my thing. I don't want to do that. We had a casino night for my work party last year. He wouldn't even gamble fake money. The only medication he's been on was some low blood pressure stuff, and that was years ago, and he didn't like how that made him feel, so he stopped taking that.
Anybody that, and just take a second and think, anybody you can think of that would want to cause Ken or your family any harm?
No.
Despite multiple rounds of questioning and endless back and forth over the details, Kimberly and Tyler hold firm. Their story never shifts, and they show no signs of hiding anything. But just as it seems that detectives are about to run out of leads again, a call comes in from Kimberly's father. What he has to share is deeply disturbing, and it ties directly to something that Kimberly and Tyler have been talking about all night in their interview.
Was there any issues with any family members?
anything?
No, the only thing, I actually haven't talked to my family in about a year.
Okay.
Like a year. My dad called Ken a little over a year ago and said that my dad's a former police officer.
Okay.
And said that he had been told, I don't know by whom or in what way, that Ken was like looking at porn and that he didn't want Ken around the family anymore. So there was some arguments about that, like between me and my family, because I just didn't understand what the details were, and from what Ken and I talked about, yes, he was looking at porn, but
just regular porn, nothing unusual.
Yeah, I think again, we didn't get any details, and like my dad wouldn't even tell Ken what the details was, but something along the lines of if he had looked at something like related. But again, when I asked Ken about it, he said if that had happened, it was not something intentional, and certainly wasn't anything he was seeking out. And again, the only thing we could get from my dad was that it had happened so long ago that nothing was being pursued through the police or anything.
Okay.
But he wanted Ken to go to counseling. Ken and I had talked about it. I guess he was a little worried about the stigma of that, but ultimately it was not something he was doing. And as far as I know, again, for the last several months, he's not been looking at porn at all.
Okay.
The detective then shifted focus to explore other possibilities. But in the interviews that followed, far more would come to light, especially details involving Kimberly's younger brother, Alan.
The family issues we had talked before about the pornography issues. I'd spoken to, when I spoke to Officer Kintz, he had said those concerns may be involving your brother Alan. Okay, that some of the pictures were of Alan at a younger age, a long time ago.
I was never told that.
Okay.
I know Alan got mad about whatever was going on, and whenever I went to my parents' house, he basically wouldn't talk to me, but I didn't know what was going on, and I even said something to my mom about it, and she said that he was upset I didn't force Ken to go into therapy as soon as it was brought to my attention. But
okay.
I didn't force him to do anything, and I said I didn't know any details.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, it sounds like that's what Tyler told Officer Kintz, that it had something to do with Alan. I don't know exactly what.
And as far as, like, Tyler knew something was going on because last year at Christmas, Ken wasn't spending any time with my parents. I would go over there, like, my sister was in town, visit, whatever. And Tyler had, I don't know if it was a text or whatever, but, we were trying to figure out what we were doing, I think for Christmas, or I might have even done Thanksgiving, and he said, well, something to the effect that he knew Ken wouldn't be there. And I was like, well, why would you know that he wouldn't be there? Why would you? And he did say Alan told him there was something going on, but again, said that Alan didn't give him any details.
Okay.
And, we didn't share with Tyler any details. Again, I didn't really have any details to share. My Ken's best friend from high school called me up shortly before Christmas and basically said, I don't know the details. Chris, my sister, called and said something's going on. If you ever want to talk, I'm here to talk. And I said, that's great, but again, I don't really know anything's going on. Ken and I have talked, and as far as I can tell things are fine, but I was very upset with my mother for having said something. Again, I felt like nobody knew enough details to really say anything to anybody, because then rumors were going to start flying and people were going to think things that maybe weren't true. And that's a sensitive subject, you know, and if it's not true, that's pretty hard to get past. So obviously my mom had said something to my sister for my sister to call Ken's friends. So I called my mom, and I was very upset and said that, you know, she shouldn't have been kind of telling other people. And she said, well, so basically she said that she had told each of my siblings.
From what the other officers tell me, and I hope I didn't mix up the details here, it sounds like your dad swung by the house while they were out there. Did you contact your dad and tell him what happened?
No,
do you know who would have?
Chris said that she actually, because she lives just around the corner from me, so she said she saw all the
Chris
lights.
is your sister?
Yeah.
Okay.
She said she saw the lights for the sirens. She came outside to kind of try to see what was going on, but she saw officers with their guns drawn, so she went back in the house. She said she called my brother to see if I had maybe called my parents. My brother lives with my parents.
Okay.
If maybe I had called my parents to tell them what was going on. So.
But this wasn't how Kimberly's father first learned about Ken's murder. And when the real reason would surface, it would shatter yet another family. The first hints of it were already hidden in Tyler's interview.
Was Dad in any type of drugs or anything? Any drug problems, past, current, present, or anything? Or
If he ever was, I never knew about them. He drank socially, but was by no means an alcoholic.
okay. Any other addictions? Any type of sexual addictions? Any sexual issues or anything like that that you might have known about or anything from Dad?
Nothing that I know about firsthand.
Okay.
And anything else I would know would just be hearsay. I don't know.
Yeah, at this point, any info you have is very beneficial to try and find stuff out. So.
My grandfather as well, or I guess I was informed by my uncle, my mother's brother, that
What's your uncle's name?
Alan M. Johnson. One day when I was hanging out with him, he informed me that my dad had a problem with that he had sought help through the Army.
Your dad sought help.
Yeah. That he had voluntarily sought help through the Army. He had been in for 9 or 10 years previous. He sought personal help from my grandfather, my mother's father.
From his father-in-law?
Yeah. Apparently, at some point or another, it had come to light that he was not better.
As far as
Right. At that point, my grandmother had told him that he was not to hang around the rest of his part of the family, my grandfather's. So.
is there any reason why your grandpa didn't think he was getting better, or?
I don't remember. I think, but again, I don't know for certain, that Alan had helped my dad with some sort of computer problem that he had had, and while he was helping in that, I think Alan might have found either it or evidence of it, but I don't know for certain.
But it's what Tyler reveals about Alan's easy access to their home that raises the first real red flag.
Did you ever have a conversation with your mother at all about any of these accusations at all or anything?
Sort of had a beating around the bush conversation about it. I had meant at some point to talk with them about it, but I had no idea how to breach the subject. At one point, it was brought up because my mother and my dad had stopped going to family gatherings anytime my mom's family was involved. She started to talk with me about it, and then I let her know that Alan had told me that side of the story, and that's pretty much where the conversation ended.
What did your mom tell you about this situation?
I don't think she actually told me anything. I think I kind of cut her off.
Alan has used the back door before?
Yeah.
Okay. And how long ago has it been since Alan's ever been at your house?
It's been a while. It was at least before he talked to me.
Does Alan own any guns at all?
If he
Is there any reason why Alan or your grandfather would be mad at your dad?
I don't think so. I mean, they might be disappointed in him in failing to follow up with any sort of treatments or whatever that he was going through. But
for your dad to be so upset with Ken about simply looking at pornography online, that's a pretty severe reaction for just looking at
He had also said that he had had issues himself in the past, and so he understood it, and he wanted Ken to get help. So I don't have any idea what his issues were.
Okay.
But like I said, at some point he said that Ken had looked at something that was beyond normal pornography. Ken said whatever it was, maybe he had, in the course of clicking on things, something came up, but it was nothing that he specifically sought out.
The truth behind the outburst came to light the same day when detectives arrived at Kimberly's father's house. In a stunning revelation, 32-year-old Alan had admitted to his father that he had been the one who killed Ken.
Am I going to go inside? Here?
Let's ask
Okay.
detectives.
All right, I guess.
You've been super cooperative with us. I don't see a reason why you can't go inside.
Yeah, but if he says no.
But either way, we'll get you to see your mom.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alan? Yeah. I do have a question for you. In speaking with your dad, he says that you came home and you washed your clothes. Okay. Now, your clothes that are in the wash machine, were those clothes that you wore when you went over to the house? They're not. What clothes did you wear when you went over to the house? Oh, well.
I'm so sorry.
I love you too, man. I love you too.
And he has talked about it once in a while in the past. Never took any actions whatsoever. It was kind of
Did you ever see why he made those accusations before, or why he wanted to harm himself before?
because of Ken. Because of Ken.
Okay. That must be just recently then, because you guys, as I understand, Rich, just found out about that.
We just found out about that. He's been that way for some time.
Up until this point, you had no idea what it was about, though.
No. Something's really eating at him bad. Because he just kept getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And I told Mike, he told me, he says, he didn't even think about this. He didn't plan it. He just did it. He said it was like shooting a stone. He was going to kill himself there. But he said he hated that place so much he couldn't shoot himself inside there. Went outside. Same thing. Mentally deteriorating. Sometimes he's very compulsive, obsessive, shrinks. Keep an eye on him.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good night.
I would have liked to have met you under other circumstances.
I understand. Guys, get some rest, and if you guys need anything, don't hesitate to call anyone.
In January of 2018, 2 years after the murder of Ken Mishkevich, Alan Johnson was sentenced to 25 years in prison, followed by 10 years of parole. If you think this case was horrific, you need to check out my video on the serial killer hiker.